Hello and welcome to another episode of New World to Go. I'm your host, Redbird, and with me is BDLG. Bordy, it's been a minute since we've talked New World, almost a month. Is that right?
Yeah, man.
And it turns out we didn't miss anything until like 2 days ago, and then like all heck broke loose, and all the information on the new expansion coming out. And guess what, Bordy? It's gonna happen in a month. That's literally we got about a month's warning on the drop of the expansion date. So we have a long episode for you to make up for the absence. We have Transmog came out, Bordy. They announced everything that's coming in Season 3. And then, of course, the main topic today will be the Rise of the Angry Earth, which is the first expansion to hit New World. Bordy, let's hop right in to the news. Transmog is in New World now, Bordy. A popular requested feature that all of us wanted in the game. Maybe not the way we wanted it, but it's here, Bordy. Have you had a chance to do Transmog yet? Any Transmog?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely got in there and played around with the system. It's good. I think they implemented it pretty well. I was happy with the implementation. I know there's a lot of craziness going on with the way they're monetizing it and all that stuff, but overall, I think it was a decent implementation. The catalog system wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I think what I want is outside of Transmog anyway. So, well, is what it is. I want a sticker book with all the named items in there so I can collect them and check them off. And the Transmog is just like
the appearance.
It's just look. Yeah, it's the appearance. That's the word I was looking for. It's just the appearance. It's not the actual item. So it's cool though. I like it. I think it's a good feature.
You mean like the static things that like the named items, the static item? Oh, yeah. And then of course we're gonna talk a little bit more about new items that are added to the game that are static as well. So that maybe a sticker book plays in there. Yeah, I think obviously if you can imagine this, just angry, loud voices on Reddit and Twitter, obviously cloud up the introduction of Transmog. I don't really mind this system. I did try to find a Transmog token out of a chest. We spent about 3 hours on that Wednesday. I didn't get one. So
yeah, there's like a 1% chance to drop.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a lot of luck, Bordy. In case you knew, I have max luck. And,
true.
And I just still didn't get it. So I'm not sure what happened there. Probably a bug or something because I have max luck, so I should be getting the Transmog tokens. But I think like obviously it's a huge move in the right direction. I think it's just Transmog is one of the bigger systems in like every MMO or every popular MMO, and New World has it. The Transmog tokens, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. You can buy them in packages. You get so many from the season pass every season, hopefully, and then you can loot one a week. Is that right? So that there's tons of availability for the Transmog tokens.
I mean, you can get them in a lot of different ways, but I think the primary way is like people are going to buy them.
Yep.
I think.
Yep, and there will be everybody that wants to put every Transmog in, so they'll be buying a lot of tokens probably. If they're not patient, because there's a ton of items in the game. You don't really realize the amount of appearances that are in the game until you look at the Transmog sticker book and you're like, holy heck, like there's actually like a butt ton of different appearances for items. And a lot of them are like the early game items, right? The ones that like you loot and you're like, man, looks sick. I'd love to have this like as an end-game appearance, and now you can. So there's like a whole new mini game in the game. I love collecting Transmog appearances and stuff in games. So when I head back to New World, that'll definitely be one of the things that I do is look for dope Transmog stuff. Other news, which is bigger news, it kind of came along with the the announcement of the expansion, and it's Season 3, Bordy. Season 3 is coming. Did you catch a date? Is this going to happen in October too, or
I think so. I think it happens at the same time. I just think you don't get access to the expansion unless you buy the expansion. So all the things with the expansion, I don't think you get. But I think Season 3 and expansion happens on the same day. Or at least that's my understanding of it right now anyway.
Okay. All right. So, so Season 3, unless we hear different, comes out on the same day as the expansion. And we're getting this is like also like a really big section of changes here for New World's purposes. Obviously, there's a new season pass, open world PvP changes, Bordy. They've teased at this for a long time, and now we're finally getting some sort of meaningful, like capture the point type of system in the open world, which will basically allow us to like shift zone influence in some sort of like timed way, right? So it seems like zones will activate like at certain times throughout the day. The goal, I think, for the system is everybody will rush to that zone, have a bunch of open world PvP fighting over the influence of the zone, and then whoever like gets the influence gets to declare war. Is that the way you understand it for the most part?
I think so, man. I'm not real sure how this is going to work exactly, and this is one of the areas of concern that I have for the game overall. Is like just a more time gated content, but this could be time gated in a good way, or it could be time gated in a really bad way. And I'm not real sure what they mean. So I'll read this to you real quick because here's what they say with the new influence race changes. They say capture new influence towers and strike down enemy factions in open world combat for territorial supremacy. Each faction will compete for influence in specific zones during scheduled times. So if an attacking faction earns enough influence through PvP missions, influence towers, and forts before the race ends, they'll receive bonus rewards plus the opportunity to declare war. And if the defending faction prevents the attackers from scoring enough influence within the time limit, they'll earn bonus rewards for both the influence race and the next war. So regardless of who wins, the attacking faction with the most influence can escalate the conflict into war. So here's what I find interesting about this statement, man, is it says each faction will compete for influence in specific zones during the scheduled times. So like, does that mean scheduled times? Does that mean like a specific zone is going to be available to compete for influence for like a week? Or does that mean like at 6 o'clock p.m. on every night, that's for a specified amount of time, that's whenever we're going to be able to PvP? Yeah, and I think one of those scenarios is really bad, and I think the other one is really good.
I think it seems to me like each zone has a scheduled influence time. But again, like I can't imagine fighting over a zone for multiple days, right? Can you? Like it'll be like,
I think that would be the better way to do it.
Or like this week, first light's up for grabs. Or I mean, that's a bad example. First light's gone.
You can't.
Cutlass skis, you know what I mean. This week, Cutlass skis up for grabs, and then you just build influence, and whoever wins it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not for a week, but at least for like a couple days, I think would be good. That way, like no matter what time of day you're on, you can go participate in open world PvP. I mean, that's the part that you're.
Well, I think both systems allow that because one of them would just shift like hourly, so then whenever you're on, there would be a zone up for open world.
Oh, so you think it'll just be all the time?
Oh yeah,
that
definitely.
Would be fine too. Yeah, that would be fine too. Definitely. My fear is that it's going to be like, okay, Everfall is here, but it's 6 o'clock p.m. tonight, and you have to be here at 6 o'clock p.m. too, because that's typically the trajectory that New World has taken with this stuff. Is like they lock this stuff behind a specific time, and I think that's terrible. And if they do that with this push, I think it's going to be a massive failure. If they do it in a way where it's open and accessible to people to go participate in, I think it could be a huge win, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. But we'll just see how it works out.
Yeah, my thought is that they'll like however many zones there are now. I can't remember off the top of my head. That can actually
rotate them.
Yeah, so if there's 12 zones, then each zone would be open to push for 2 hours, back to back to back to back to back. Does that make sense? So then over a 24-hour period, each zone would have been able to be like influenced in certain ways. I could see it maybe like doing 3 out, like maybe there's a break or something, or maybe they don't do it like on downtime. But hopefully I just hope it's always going. So then whatever time you get to play New World, maybe you're a night shift guy and you get to be only on during the mornings or whatever. Like they have some sort of open world PvP you can compete in.
Exactly. That's my goal. That's the crux of it.
Or that's what I would think the goal would be.
Yeah, that to me is the crux of it. Is like you got to quit time gating this stuff so that only certain people can play at certain times. I think that has absolutely killed the game in a lot of different ways, as we've talked about a million times. But another really interesting thing that I read, I brought this up earlier on stream, but I'm probably reading way too far into this, and I don't think this is how it's going to be. But they never mention companies in that statement. They only say factions. So it's like, to me, that's one of my wishes. Or not wishes, I guess. I just feel like that whole system's bad. Everybody knows that. And this could be a big change to that system because they only mention factions. They say faction. They don't say anything about companies declaring war in that whole statement. So I just found that to be interesting. I don't know if that means anything. It probably doesn't. It's probably the same as it is now. But I just thought that was kind of maybe an interesting tell. But I don't think it is. I think that's reaching. But
the only thing that I don't know how you get a 50-man team together unless it's all random, right?
which probably wouldn't be ideal. I mean,
it wouldn't be ideal, but again, like if all the money's being split between the faction, like I don't know, like at that point it does remove like the money, like the economy situation. But I don't know. For me, I probably think realistically, it's probably just the factions or the companies that participate in the open world, like capture point stuff, are the ones that are going to get the bids still. Just
yeah,
like
I mean,
it would be
I
like
think so.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what's going to happen. Realistically, I just thought it was interesting they didn't mention it at all. It was just kind of the wording there, but I'm sure that's reading into it too much.
Yeah, maybe not. We'll see. I guess they didn't really introduce a PTR time. Or like date, but I guess whenever that happens, we'll figure it out. Removal of Ward, Bane, Resilience, and Expertise. I like how they threw Expertise in there like it was a perk.
it's huge, yeah, but it's huge. Removing that stuff, yeah.
Okay, so basically, Ward, Bane, and Resilience, Bordy. These are 3 perks that basically just pigeonholed a piece of gear that you got from a drop into a certain section, and a lot of the times they conflicted with the other perks on the gear, right? Like you would get Resilient, Ward, and then whatever Heaven Stabetsy, you get the one that doesn't let your armor break because literally bricked piece of armor.
Indestructible.
Yeah. So it's like so these 3 conflicting perks on the gear are now gone. So to me, that opens up, obviously, the amount of viable gear that you have. It does also, to me, it makes some more viable builds, like in PvE specifically, because then you don't have to go into every mutation with Ward and Bane on everything. You know what I mean? You kind of get to personalize your armor to whatever weapons and like equip load you're using in a more effective way.
Yeah, dude, I think this change is incredible. I think a lot of people will come back just for this change alone. I've seen that comment made a ton. It's like, well, the whole reason I left New World was the gear grind was just too much, and now they're removing these things. I'm coming back, which I think is going to be awesome, man. I mean, being able to go grind out your gear and use it across the board, it seems like you're going to just be able to, with no Resilient, Ward, or Bane, seems like you'll be able to have one suit of armor that would serve its purpose for everything, right? It's just a general gear that you get that you're now going to be able to utilize.
Yeah, I would say it's probably specific to the weapons you want to use because of the weapon perks, but yes. I think that's fine. Like if I have a spear rapier build that I like to use, to me, like a lot of Destiny or like other games that kind of pin themselves between the PvP and the PvE window, it's cool to have like a piece of gear that you can use for a particular build in both situations, So hopefully we're going to talk a little bit more about the changes to crafting and maybe some new item types later. But hopefully this just provides that better feel between I don't have to there's only like 9 gear sets available, and then like most of the time out of the 9 gear sets, all of them are like some sort of different PvE build that I have to use that week, which is just crazy. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, they need a spear, so I got to use my spear Angry Earth build or my healing Angry Earth build or my tank. It's like, at least now there'll be like one build that you use each week, so you won't have to constantly reassign those gear sets and stuff like that.
Yeah, what would you need one for each week for?
What do you mean? Like if it changes, like next week it's corrupted, so I have to switch out all my gear sets again. You know what I'm saying? Like this week is Angry.
Now?
Yeah, right now.
Oh, not after the change.
No, not after the change. Okay, I'm saying right now.
I was like, wait, what are you talking about? You don't have to. You can just,
Right now, there's gear sets. There's only so many gear sets, so it's like it's really like clunky. Every week, I have to switch out my gear set slots, which to me defeats the purpose of having gear sets, because it's I have to go find my gear again every week.
Yeah. Now this will free up a ton of gear set slots too. Yeah. That's a great point. Now we'll have extra gear set slots to use, plus not having to switch gears. It's gonna be awesome. This change is huge. I think that change alone will bring back a lot of players to the game. For
and
sure.
That is not tied to the. This is not tied to the expansion. So all this, every player will get, but we have some maybe not so great news in that department later.
Also, kind of on that note, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but in that Flail video where they show the Flail perks, have you seen that video, or they show the Flail abilities?
Yeah, I saw the abilities.
at the very bottom of one of the abilities, it says, or whenever they hover over the flail to begin with, it says down there at the very bottom that I can't remember the exact wording, but it says something like PvP scaling for this weapon is currently turned off. So it's like they are 100% going to separate PvP and PvE ability wise. And I think that's a great thing too. So they'll be able to balance abilities for PvP and for PvP. It looked like from that screenshot I seen, it was still going to be the same abilities. They were just going to have maybe different values whenever you turn on PvP or PvE for that weapon. That's what it looked like from the screenshot, and they have hinted at that fact that they're trying to move in that direction. And I think that would be pretty good too, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see it in practice. I didn't catch that on the skill tree, but
yeah, it's at the very bottom. It's very easy to miss.
Well, the flail they said you could use with the sword and the shield, so it's like I wonder how that's gonna work. Personally,
I think it'll be just like the sword and board. Like right now, you can take your shield off of the sword and only use the sword if you want.
Yeah, but the flail has 2 skill trees, and the sword only has 1 and a shield skill tree. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Well, that's true. Yeah, that is true. So maybe if you, that is true. I didn't think about that. Yeah, this is true. Huh.
So that may hopefully, like in the future, I think that's a good direction to go. Is like maybe with the one-handed weapons, you can always like opt to having a shield. That would make shields more viable in different builds, because right now it's only sword and shield, right? So like that whole equipment type.
Shield.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's ridiculous and should have never been on there. But I'm saying like at least the shield will now be used in other builds other than just like the sword and shield build. Now you'll get maybe flail or potentially like, you know, it would be cool to see like a gauntlet and a shield maybe. You'll lose some of your you know what I'm saying, dude? There should be some cool stuff there. Hopefully they lean into that a little bit more in the future. And then finally, these are some minor touches or like cliff notes to the season 3. Night Vale Hollow and Turkey Terror will be back. So if you missed the giant turkey running around laying explosive eggs, or like your opportunity to have your hero have chicken feet, it's coming. Or turkey, I guess it's turkey feet. And also the Halloween event, which I like. I mean, obviously the events are good. We talked about this before. Seasonal events help mix things up as the grind continues. So it's good to see that these are coming back, but I don't know if anybody thought they weren't at this point. So
yeah, I mean, I think they're mainstays. They'll be back every year.
Yep. All right, dude. So that basically covers the news. Let's hop into our final topic of the day, the Bane topic, which is the expansion announcement that happened. What day was it? Tuesday or Wednesday? It was Tuesday. Wednesday. It was Wednesday. Yesterday.
The 30th.
The 30th. It was Tuesday. Wednesday. Yeah, so Wednesday. Rise of the Angry Earth was announced. So basically, you know, Bordy, everybody had huge question marks on what we were going to get in the expansion, what it was going to entail. And we all know now the details, or at least the cliff notes of what's going to happen in the expansion and when it comes out, which is October, early October, Bordy. Did you think it was going to happen this early? It's like a month from now.
I mean, I thought it was going to happen because the season, I mean, if you in game and you look at the season 2 end timer, you know, it only has a few days left. So it's or a month left or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like, I didn't know though, because we hadn't heard anything about it. I mean, we just got this all of it was just dumped on us as this big announcement, which I thought was kind of I don't know, man. It was just like this huge information dump. I assumed we were going to get like some lead up and some hype up to it. And they dropped that trailer that showed the mounts. And I was like, yo, that trailer is sick. The trailer was amazing. And then they dropped all the information after that. And I was like, whoa, okay. We just got it all at once. So I just thought their methodology behind giving us that information, there was no lead up, no hype. It was just like, here it is. So it was, you know, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect because they were so quiet for so long, and then they just gave us all the info. It's just kind of an odd method in my opinion, but oh well, it is what it is. We have it now, so
we have it all now. It's going to include new story, mounts, as we all thought, increase to max level and gear score, new weapons, artifact items, which is a new type of item, a zone transformed, which is First Light, will now be called Elysian Wild. And there will be a rework to the mutation system and a new heart gem, as well as a new expedition as well. So let's.
So is that enough for you for an expansion, Red? I'm just asking that question straight out of the gate. Is that enough for you for the expansion?
They've really put themselves in a tough situation. I don't know. I feel like maybe we should cover all this first before we go into this detail. We can hit this at the end. We can hit this in the end.
All right,
final thoughts.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Let's just do this. New story. I don't think there's not much to talk about here, right? Everybody knew there'd be a new story, right? Involved. Like they do a new story with every season. It's obvious that that we were going to get a story with the new thing. Okay.
Yeah, and I may be the only one in the world that's kind of excited for the story, but I actually enjoyed it for season 2. I thought they did a good job with the story for season 2, and I'm interested to see them build upon that because I think there's a lot of potential for New World to have really good lore and to have a really good story. And so I am interested to see where they're going with it. I am kind of excited to see what the story is like in season 3. I know that probably puts me in the minority of New World players, but I think it's important for an MMO to have that. It is a draw for players to come back every season to get the ongoing story, and so hopefully they do a good job nailing that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about it. If I'm being completely honest, I'm glad you do.
I know, that's what I mean. Like most people don't. That's why I think they need to do a better job of getting it incorporated into the game. Because I look at games like Final Fantasy where people go back like a lot of times strictly for the story.
Well, the whole point of the game is to progress the story essentially. But yeah, to me that system only works when you have like rating and high end, like this is the big boss fight and we're going in there to kill the big boss and it's going to take 12 of us, or you know what I mean? Like that to me is the end ramp up of a story.
There's a story arc. Climax or some kind of conclusion for sure.
We just fought a worm. I don't know what was the worm doing. That wasn't hurting me. It was impossible. It was impossible for the worm to hurt me. If you in the desert, you run into it, it doesn't do damage. So why do I care about killing that thing? You know what I mean? It's just fine. It's just I like Tremors, the movie. I was a big fan when I was a kid. I don't understand.
You should go back and play season 2 and listen to the story.
I already did play season 2, dude. And
but you didn't pay attention to the story.
Well, of course not. I skipped it all.
Exactly. That's on.
Where's
on
the
you,
YouTube video? You link me a YouTube video on the story, and I'll watch it.
No, there's not one that exists, man. Nobody covers the lore for New World.
Well, that's a shame. Somebody needs to do that.
Except for me, I did a season 1 recap for it, and yeah, I mean.
Okay, well, do season 2.
Maybe I'll do a season 2 recap. Yeah, maybe we'll do that.
Okay, good. Now mounts. Is that enough for the story? Do you have anything else you want to say about it?
No, I don't have any. Okay.
Mounts. This is a big requested feature. This is challenging to me a little bit because this is one of like the pinnacle features of the game. You know what I mean? This is one of the pinnacle features of the expansion, rather. Sorry, and it's mounts. Now mounts, Bordy, as far as the videos go, seem to be mobility tools, right? Did you see anything in the video where like the mounts do anything else other than like make you go faster?
I mean, they have items you can equip to them. They have cosmetics that look cool, and then they have items that'll like cleanse you if you get knocked off your horse and stuff like that. But for the most part, like no. So I mean, that's what they are. You know, there's a riding skill associated with them, which I think is going to be very much in line with probably what like ESO has. You know, only in New World, probably the more you ride, the higher your skill gets, and the faster you ride, I would assume. So it's no, I mean they're 100%. That's what they are.
Yeah. So I think there was some in my mind there was some thought about maybe like a Black Desert type of system with like transporting goods and everything like that. I don't know how it would have been pulled off, or PvP like hotspots. But it does seem to be mounted. There is a trade skill involved with it, but we have no obviously the implementation of the trade skill seems to be centered around like going faster and holding more my items like that. To me, like from as far as what I read, that was what the mount could do. Like the entire skill tree was just, or the entire trade skill is based around making your mount more efficient. Did you get that? I didn't see any like animal husbandry stuff.
No, there's nothing like that. And whenever the trailer released, and whenever the trailer released, I thought it was going to be a little bit more. You have your cursor on my face, by the way. I pick up my nose. Whenever the trailer released, I thought it was going to be a little bit more because there was like down in the description it says taming mounts. It says mount taming, specifically. But I don't think that there's going to be any mount taming in the game. It didn't seem like to me anyway. I think it's just
maybe it's in the new zone. Only the
I don't know. Maybe it seems just like this ethereal type of mount you summon, just like in most MMOs. I thought maybe we were getting like animal husbandry and taming and all those things, breeding and all kinds of cool stuff in New World with the way they had been talking about it and how long it took them to implement it and all these things. I thought maybe we were going to get a whole system surrounding it. We didn't. It's just mounts. So mounts are cool. I think a lot of people are going to be very happy with this implementation because I don't think a lot of people are going to care that none of that's in. And some people probably don't want that to be in. So it is what it is, man. I mean, the mounts are going to be cool. They're skins. They'll make money off selling the skins. And there we go.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely was one of those people that thought if they were going to implement mounts in the current size of the map, it would probably be something to do with the trade skill or some sort of like, way to breed or like you said, I thought, and someone mentioned this in chat, I thought because of the video, they might double as like combat pets or whatever in PvE or like in the open world. But I don't think that's realistic. I honestly don't know how they would implement that. It would be kind of a weird system anyways. But I definitely thought there would be some sort of like, breeding or taming or something like that. So, and maybe we're missing something. There might still be more depth to the system, but I kind of, at least now, I think that it's probably just mounts, right?
Yeah, so it seems like. Sorry that.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so now increase to max level and gear score. So max level, Bordy, in an expansion, a full paid expansion in New World will increase our level by 5.
Mm-hmm.
And our gear score will increase by max level is what? 700? Is that? I can't remember now.
Yes. Yeah, 700.
700.
Yep, so it's going from 625 to 700.
625 to 700. And they're getting rid of the expertise system. So that's important to know. So anything that whatever activity you do will drop a certain level of gear, which in my opinion is way better than expertise anyways. And then once you get to 700, you're at max level, which we don't know the time scaling of like the difference between 6 to 700 or 625 to 700. We'll see what happens there. But 5 level increase, Bordy, from max level. And then the gear score increase from 625 to 700.
Yeah,
so,
huge.
Yeah, it's a huge item level increase, which I assume will be tied to the leveling, right? I think you'll have to be level 65 to equip a 700 piece of gear, most likely, right?
Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah.
But they didn't say anything about Umbral Shards yet, which is like the big question mark.
Well, they did. They did. They didn't. I watched the video and people tried to tell me that they said
some sort of Sherlock Holmes
in the video
today.
Yeah. So I've got some insight here.
Okay.
So they tried to tell me that they said that Umbral Shards were being removed from the game. And I said, no, they didn't. They didn't say that in the video. They never once said it. And I watched the video like 4 times. They never said it. However, there is an article floating around out there. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's one of the articles. It was either from Massively OP or from MMORPG.com, and I don't remember which one. Let me do a quick search here. Okay, here it is. All right, so let me read you this sentence, okay? This is from massivelyop.com, by the way. Okay. The new in-game is not just about higher numbers. There's going to be an extensive overhaul of the progression and gear systems.
All right.
The oft-controversial expertise system is gone, along with Umbral Shards, which will be converted to gold. There will no longer be any way to upgrade gear you already earn. You just have to find good drops. So there you go. So apparently... Yeah, and they had access to a preview. Them along with a bunch of other like media outlets had access to the review. So apparently Umbral Shards are in fact going away, and it's turning into gold. And the only way to upgrade your gear now, you have to go find the drops of that specific item. So there you go.
Yeah. All right. Well,
if that's true, I mean,
how could it not be?
They have devs. That's coming from Massively OP, not from
who
the devs,
had access because of the devs. Like I don't know.
Yeah, so I would assume that is correct. I mean, it makes sense.
I don't know. It would be like, to me, it would be a stretch not to believe it at this point, because to me, like the Umbral Shard system, like where do you go from that. Like it really, like the Umbral shard system looked okay on paper, but was really bad in implementation, because you just constantly, you know what I mean? You need X amount of Umbral shards to upgrade a piece of gear so it's usable in in-game content. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't always feel great when you're already at max level, right? So like you get a new piece of gear and, oh man, this is cool, but I now have to go grind expeditions to make it work or whatever. So I just like the dropping max level gear better, but I would prefer to see that max level gear dropped in content that is challenging, that you can only get in that content. You know what I mean? So like maybe max level mutations, which we're going to talk a little bit more later, raids by chance, you know what I mean?
That seems to be how it's going to, that seems to be what's going to be happening now.
I think it's better than it's.
I would agree. I think it's better too, because it gives you a reason to go run that content. It gives you a reason to go grind out the higher level stuff, because theoretically right now you could really just go like do lower level mutations over and over and over. It would take you forever to get Umbrals to upgrade your gear. It's like, you know, I don't know.
It's painful. It was painful at first.
Yeah, and I think they're taking away a ton of these barriers to entry for new players, which I think is also a fantastic thing to do. I think overall the system to me on paper sounds way better than it previously was. And the whole thing's overhauled, man. No more Umbral shards, dude. That's crazy to me. I don't know about gypsum. I haven't heard them say anything about gypsum. I guess those are maybe going away too.
Well, they only function. Well, no, because I guess gypsum allowed you to get gear, not just
you get items
shards.
from them. But
so maybe it stays.
You used it mostly for expertise bumps, though. So
yeah, true. Yeah, maybe they get rid of it too. All those crazy little pumps are gone in all this work. We'll see. Now, new weapon, Bordy. The Flail. Dude. It is a unique weapon in a way that you'll be able to wield it in different fashions, either one-handed alone or one-handed with a shield, or there's two different trees that do two different things. So an interesting weapon. I think everybody knew it was going to be a flail or a mace, but what are your first thoughts on the new weapon being added? Scaling off of primarily strength and then focus.
I think it's going to be interesting, man. Like looking at the video that they posted with all of the abilities and the animations, it looks really cool. As far as like how it's going to pair with other stuff, it's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, like Flail Life Staff, I guess, is going to be a thing probably. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to scale and how it's going to function with all this stuff, but it seems fun. I mean, it looks really cool. I like the abilities. It seems pretty strong based on some of the descriptions of the abilities, but I'm not sure. I mean, it's got like a couple of really nice gap closers on paper. It does a decent amount of damage, it looks like, on paper. It's got a lot of utility. Like, the weapon looks really solid, and I think it will have some pretty interesting pairings. I think pairing that with a lot of the other melee strength weapons will be a great pairing. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, so we don't know exactly the percentages, but in the video that they leaked, it does say strength first and then focus. So it's either the traditional 90-60 or maybe they went the great sword route, Bordy.
They said they're removing that, Red. They said they're removing 90-60. It's no longer going to be that. They said they're going to even scaling with every single weapon moving forward.
Every weapon's what?
Yeah, it's gonna be even scaling, kind of like the greatsword. It's 80-80, and so there's no weapons gonna scale like that anymore. Yeah, that's crazy. I know, but that is happening. They said that on one of them. I think it was a Bounce of Power or it was one of the Forged into Eternums. I just don't remember which one. I'd have to look it up and find it. But they did say that they're going even attribute scaling on every weapon. If really? I understood what they said, if I understood what they said right. Yeah, don't quote me on that 100%. I would have to go find the okay, people are saying not scaling dual stat equipment or 50-50 stats, not scaling. Bounce of Power 2 weeks ago. I don't remember. I'd have to go find it, but there's something changing there for sure. Dual stat equipment or 50-50 stats. What is that? I don't understand that statement, but either way, they're changing something in that regard. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. Sorry. I'm not trying to
Don't worry. You'll have a meme about you on Reddit in like an hour, and then everybody will be blown.
Probably so. It's fine. So.
Yeah. Lord knows we need more drama and on the internet. So yeah, Flail, it looks exciting to me. I love the idea that you can equip it with a shield. I hope they move in the direction where other weapons in the game will have an alternative, like, you know, where you can shift one of the skill trees off, and then you know, tank with all these unique, like maybe like an int setup tank where you have like the ice, you know what I mean? Ice gauntlet, sword and shield. And maybe you have the builder tree in the ice gauntlet, and then you have the sword and shield on your sorry, I keep saying sword and shield, the shield on your other bar. Like, I just think like this is a great, in my opinion, a great way to utilize the shield more often, because the shield has such an awkward place in the meta right now. It only equips with the sword, and it affects your equip weight, which makes it awkward to like change your gear when you want to use a sword and shield, right? So hopefully they figure that, like, maybe take the weight off the shield, take the stats off the shield, and just make it a weapon that you can equip that changes your skill tree availability. To me, like, that makes the most sense for the sword.
Yeah, I've always thought the shield worked in a weird way in New World, so hopefully they will figure that out somehow. And maybe they have with the addition of the flail, because it's an optional shield. And you're right, the flail does have two sides of the tree, so it'll be interesting to see how that's implemented.
Yeah, which one disappears, or do you even get to choose if you? Yeah. Like, what would be the point of equipping a shield that literally bricks your entire build, equip wise? So it's like, if you're not getting the sword and shield tree, I have no idea why you'd want to equip the sword and shield with the flail. So hopefully we'll have more answers about that later. Here's the thing. Here's my favorite thing. I'm not gonna lie. This is my favorite thing about the expansion boardy. Artifact weapons, dude. Artifact weapons, armor, and jewelry. Items that have 6 perks, Bordy. 6 perks. Triple the amount that double the other amounts that other items have. They'll have unique perks that that will affect your entire build, dude. This is huge, in my opinion, for like the overall like build nature, or the build meta of the game. What do you think about artifacts, a new item type in New World?
Super excited, man. I think those are going to be fun. They're going to be fun to go farm out for one, and then you have these mini quests or mini objectives that you have to go do to unlock the perks on there, which I think is going to be fun. It's going to give us something else to do. I think that's the type of content that it feels rewarding, because once you go get the item, you then unlock all the perks in the item, and then you have this awesome artifact item that you can use. And I think it'll be cool. The only thing that I worry about a little bit is just how overpowered some of these things might be, especially in the PvP realm. But we'll have to wait and see how that works out. But overall, I think it's going to be awesome. I think it'll be a great addition to the game. Artifact items, I think, is something you've oftentimes talked about on the podcast, and I'm here for it, man. I think those will be super fun.
Yeah, the whole great axe, or the item that allows you to scale a great axe of int. It's like that stuff is damage. What's up, bro. Like,
because that'll make build diversity. Yes. You'll have some really cool builds coming out of that with some off the wall builds that you couldn't do previously. I think that is a really, really good addition to the game. I'm excited for them.
Yeah. So total, and this will be number one. I'll be interested to see how many artifacts are in this particular expansion, but also, like, will they, each season coming up, will they continue to add more and more artifacts? Because that, to me, like, you get one weapon, which is cool. I like that they limit. I would be fine with like one weapon, or excuse me, one piece of weapon or jewelry, and then one armor. But right now it's one weapon, one armor, and one jewelry. So you'll have 3 different artifacts that basically redefine the way your build works. And then there'll be quest lines for each artifact, Bordy, that will help you power up your artifact and get more perks on it. So that'll be I think a cool little like sub quest once you get an artifact, to go ahead and do the full artifact quest to unlock its power. At least now it sounds cool on paper.
Yeah, I agree. It does sound fun, but it's got to be engaging, like fun quest.
Yeah.
And not some like
I don't want to go out to the cornfield and farm for level 20, like 20 hours. Like, that's, hopefully they're like fun and like tied to the weapon and the way it works and stuff. So.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But on paper, it all sounds really good so far.
Yep, it does. This is where it gets a little bit scuffed, in my opinion. Well, just a fair warning. Zone transformed. First Light is now Elysium Wild. Listen, man, we speculated about First Light being transformed for a long time, and I thought there's no way that they don't bring out a massive update or a massive little chunk of the map. And as far as the videos that we've seen, which maybe, again, not doing a great job at showing the whole picture, It is literally First Light redone.
That's what it is. Yeah, 100%.
So
they
the same
show
exact area.
Yeah. Have you seen the video where they show the side-to-side comparisons?
Yes, I did. That's where I'm drawing this conclusion from.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So it's the zone does look really cool. I like the design of it and the new
It seems to be vertical, like you know what I mean? Like it's gotten more like maybe square footage because of all the like verticality of the zone.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs or big lizards, I guess.
Big lizards, yeah. And then you have like the minotaurs. Are they called minotaurs? The bull people?
Yes, minotaurs are bull top human.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. Centaur are the horse people.
You know what it reminds me? It reminds me of Crowfall, bro.
Dude, I literally said Tauren. Like the first 5 minutes, I was like, they added Taurens to the New World. Sick.
Yeah, that's WoW though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they called them something else in Crowfall. I don't remember what they called them, but that's what I thought of immediately. Yeah,
I deleted Crowfall from my memory, man. It was a bad. That was a bad time.
Completely erased. Yeah. So I think the zone looks really cool. It does look nice. I think it has a really neat aesthetic. It's different than what we have in the game currently, but yeah, in all honesty, like for an expansion and a paid expansion like this, I think really what we are paying for more than anything is mounts and the rework of all the systems that have been here before. We're not exactly getting a whole lot of new content to be fair. We're not getting another zone. We're only getting one new expedition, which if we're really being real honest here, it's going to not take too long until people are finished with that one. So the expansion in and of itself with just one zone, I was a little bit disappointed with just getting a zone reworked. I feel like that falls a little bit short for what you're calling an expansion. But I do also understand and can appreciate all the work that has gone into revamping all these systems.
Season 3 and the expansion, like together.
Yes. Yeah. So these systems they have revamped. I'm sure that was no small feat, bro. I like all this stuff they've redone is going to make the game a lot better, in my opinion. But yeah, hopefully in the future, if we get another expansion, it'll be like they've got all these kinks worked out with the base game, because they've been working on the base game now for like 2 years. Since the game's been released, they've been trying to get things sorted out. So I'm hoping that now that that it's getting to this point where they have like a scalable product now with all the features kind of in the kinks of things worked out, the big underlying problems, which they still have a few to fix in my opinion. But that in future content, it'll be like a lot larger like content drops instead of like these fixes to systems, because that's what we're getting with this expansion base, because like systems that were terrible are now being revamped to be better.
Yeah, and a zone that was basically useless is now redone to an in-game zone,
which you can't capture, by the way. So it's no longer a capturable area, but they changed Eden Grove to now be a capturable
Wait,
zone.
Eden Grove's capturable now? Where did you read this at?
There's all those articles, man. I spent like 3 hours today reading through all these articles that they had been posted. So because none of this stuff was in the actual.
That's not a great job at doing it.
Huh?
I'm just saying, like all these different websites having access to it.
Yeah. And and they all have different information, but none of it's conflicting. Like they don't have conflicting information.
Right. This happened at launch, I think, too.
Where
you had to read like 17 articles to figure out what actually happened.
Dude. It's a weird way to me to advertise the biggest expansion of the game. Like this is the only expansion. This is the first expansion. It's a big deal for New World, and the way they've gone about advertising it to me has been a little bit odd. It's been a little bit odd.
I don't know abrupt. If they're doing the announcement was as well.
Do what?
The announcement itself was abrupt. It's like, yo, it's coming next month, and this is like, yeah. I
expected them to like post something on Twitter like, yo, we're dropping a trailer on Monday to showcase some of this stuff. Like, get ready for this trailer. Just hype up a trailer, and then they drop this 3-minute trailer. Let us speculate on it for a few days, and then start hyping up the next piece of news. Drop that, and then speculate on it, and just build this massive hype around the game before they start giving us. They just dumped it all. It was like, bro, that's an odd. It's odd. I don't know. It's just an odd marketing strategy, in my opinion. I didn't understand that strategy. I thought they could have really done a lot better job there, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, so the point for me is this, and here's the thing. I'm not going to use it against them, but Brimstone itself, like that particular update, was pretty big for a free piece of content, right? You got a zone 3. You get a zone 3 times the size of the game. Or like any zone that was in the game at that point. We got Heartrune gems then, I believe, right? That was when they added Heartrune gems to the game.
Yeah.
They added. Was there a new weapon with Brimstone? I can't remember. I think there was, right? Sword and Shield. Yeah. or a two-hander.
The great sword.
Yeah, the great sword. Yeah, which was like the most requested item outside of maybe like daggers, right? So like that all was given to us for free, right? There was a new expansion with it. There was tons of new open world things to do in that zone. And so then you look at this in comparison with the expansion, and it seems like about the same amount of content. Is that wrong? Would I be wrong to say that?
No, I mean it does. You're not wrong, I don't think. I mean, with the expansion, we're getting mounts, which is big, but we did get other systems in the game with Brimstone Sands and that huge
like the
zone.
glyph stuff.
So yeah, I mean, I would agree. The price point of $30, I see people in chat talking about that. The price point doesn't bother me at all.
No, it's not the price point at all. I would have paid for Brimstone, to be honest.
Yeah.
I would have paid $20-$30 for the Brimstone update, probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not mad at the price point.
The money I don't care about. It's the formal announcement of an expansion is what I think is what people are frustrated with. Is that they expected, I think, a little bit more, which again, maybe not fair to say because Brimstone was given to us for free. But I think setting that precedence is probably why those people are also angry that they have to pay $30 for this. But I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. I'm not sure, man. I was hoping for a little bit more hype build up so that we could get all excited and whatever. And then it's like, it almost killed my buzz for the expansion a little bit because I was excited. And then whenever they dropped all the information, I was like, whoa, I'm a little overwhelmed.
It's a lot
now.
of
this
information.
This is just an information overload dump. And it took me a couple days to like sit down and process what was going on. And I was like, okay. Although I was still hyped and still am because I think there's some really cool stuff coming to the game, but just like it was just an odd way to do it. And I don't know if they're doing. I mean, are they doing Return to Eternum or any other marketing for this thing? Have you heard anything going on? Like
I would say they'll do something. I would say because that's what they do well. I think Amazon does. Amazon Games is the big marketing pushes. So I'm sure they'll do something for sure. I think this is important to tie together because the first light zone, and this is like to me like when I see a lot of complaints, these are the two things that come up, and I it's hard not to agree with. Is first light is reworked but the same size, and then mutations. The mutations are being reworked. There's now 3 levels of mutations. Now instead of 10, which I think is fantastic. It needed to happen a long time ago. The 10 different levels separated the player base. When you're talking about like 2,000 people on a server and you separate them into 10 different categories, usually it was very hard for new players to digest the mutation system, I think. So they've changed the mutation system now. There's 3 different difficulties of mutations, but they're no longer in the base game, Bordy. So if you pay they removed them from New World, and now they're part of Rise of Angry Earth. So that removing first light and removing mutations, this is something that comes up in the Destiny 2 community a lot because Destiny is notorious about removing things and reselling them to players. These are like the concerns I think that most people tie the money thing to is the removal of this content in the base game and then now repackaging it as a new feature in the expansion. So what are your thoughts on that?
I don't necessarily like that at all, man. I think they should have left. Like I can understand first light like being a zone that you want to get to in the expansion. I think a lot of games do that because it is. So we'll just call it a new zone. All right, even though it's a reworked zone, we'll just call it a new zone. So I think that's why they put the Brimstone Sands like sunscreen in there and then took it away. I do fully believe that was a test to determine whether or not they could lock people out of a zone because that's what it seemed. Because to get into first light, you got to do the same thing. You got to go do a quest, get an item, and then you got to use that item, and that's how you get into the first light zone. So I like the zone I can understand to an extent, but like the other stuff like mutations, it's a little odd to lock that behind. That's just weird to me, man. I don't know. Mutations.
Well, they see it as like now the expansion is the end game content, right? And so then like of course mutations are end game. So you know what I mean? That was the reasoning I saw in the I think that was the official dev post actually that said that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I can see where people would be mad. I think it's a weird thing to do, but it is what it is.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Like what do we do about it? You know,
there's nothing you can do about it other than complain.
Right, complain
or
about
don't
it.
buy
it. Do I agree with it? Not really. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't think they should have locked mutations behind a paywall. I think that's a little bit silly, but
well, I understand why they did it, but at the same time, it does suck that they did do it. But you know what I mean? Obviously, like max level is way higher now. So this particular implementation of mutations allows them to bring all of the new or the old expeditions boardy to max level. You know what I'm saying? Because now, like, if you want 700 gear and the only expedition, because they only came out with literally one expedition with the expansion, you would have to farm that one expedition over and over and over again to get the 700 gear. So now I think they moved the mutations up to where now if you're doing a mutation of an expedition, no matter what it is in the game, you'll be able to get max level gear, and they'll be able to still have the mutation rotation every week.
Yeah, so can you not get max level gear? I guess you can't get max level gear unless you own
M3 to me. Yeah, I think mutations are probably the way you get 700 gear. Like
crafting,
maybe wars.
Now you can
crafting, yeah. But I don't with the expansion. This is something important to note. Crafting, the max level of crafting is increased from 200 to what? 225 or 250?
250.
250. Yeah. And so then I think that you can't progress your crafting without being in the new zone probably or having the expansion, right? So I don't think if you are outside of the expansion, I don't know if you'll be able to craft max level gear.
Yeah, you might not be able to. Maybe your gear or maybe your crafting is locked at 200 until you buy the expansion, and then you can progress it further.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know how that's going to work either, but yeah, you might be right. Maybe you can't craft 700 gear without the expansion. I'm not sure. Those are questions that are unanswered at the moment. I think.
Right. I can't imagine because they said all the in-game stuff is tied to the expansion. So I assume maybe more answers next week, but this is all like first take stuff. So if we're wrong, I mean we've been wrong before. I'm not.
I mean, speak for yourself. I'm never wrong, dude. What are you talking about, bro?
Okay.
So, I also, you're the big Gamba person, the big crafter person. What do you think about the crafting changes that are coming in? Because we haven't talked about those at all.
Yeah.
So you can now guarantee your perks, and you can guarantee your gear score of a 700 item with new items that are coming into the game. Do you think that's good or bad? What do you think?
So here's always been my take on the gearing system is like the way that they designed the game, which being able to equip any piece of armor or weapon at one time on one character, like it needs a more fluent gearing system that allows you to accumulate gear that for a build in a better way than they currently had in the game. Honestly, like it was like pure luck. Like you literally had to run hundreds of expeditions to get a certain piece of gear, or you crafted, which was also pure luck, and you had like a 1 in 100 chance, despite any item they added to the game at that point, to get the roll that you wanted. So I do like the changes, just simply because like the way they made the game makes more sense to have it this way, right? Like if I want to, like the whole point of the game is being able to equip different weapons on the fly and different armor and trying out new builds and like having like some sort of a loot pinata to like, oh, I got a bunch of new gear. I want to try out this, Mace Void Gauntlet build and I want the gear. Like there's got to be an accessible way to get it. And before then, like everybody knows, I'm not going to hide it. I've spent millions of dollars on getting a blunderbuss and had never got it. Like literally to this day, don't have the blunderbuss that I was trying to roll and just hemorrhaged money, more money than most casual players will ever see in their life. And it's all gone now. I have 200 gold and I have 0 Umbral Shards on my account. I'm still going to be poor when the expansion hits. And I mean, that's it. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. To me, it doesn't respect like your player's time if like they want one item, like literally one item, and they can't get it. So it's like, there's got to be accessible ways to farm things like target farming. But if crafting is going to be viable at in-game, it has to be like this. It has to be where like I can put together. It might take me a while to farm out the items I need to guarantee the rolls, but I get to guarantee the rolls. So to me, I think it's good overall for New World. Obviously, I'm gonna have no content on stream. I'm gonna have to go back to basically pandering for money and then also like chest runs and stuff. But it's fine. I'd rather have the game be good at this point. So, and I think this improves the game.
Yeah, I do too, and I think it's fine to have those items that are guaranteed craft. Like they said, there's 2 new items coming to the game, some sort of special scarab and then another item. It guarantees your perks, and then you can guarantee your gear score, from what I understand. And I think it's fine to have those items be like hard items to obtain. You know, like you could go farm them out, like go target farm them, or it take you forever. They'd be very expensive items. I think that's perfectly reasonable because it gives you something to work for and achieve. And then once you have the item, you're done. Like
maybe like the transmog token, where it's like once a week per character, you get this item that guarantees a thing, and then you could sell it and make a lot of money, or you use it and craft your gear. Yeah, I think that's fine. Like I like that. You know, it's fun.
Yeah, gives you something to work towards. Gives you something to go after.
Yep. Yeah. Yep, I agree. New expansion or new expedition. I mean, it is what it is. Like it's another new expedition. Like at this point, like to me, it's raid or bust, and they didn't deliver. So, the new expedition, which is fine. There's dinosaurs and woolly mammoths there, so that'll be cool to do. We'll see. I think the drop system really and like how you get artifacts will determine the viability of these new expeditions and stuff. To me, and me and you used to play a lot of ESO before we switched to New World, and to me, like I always liked the idea of going to a specific expedition to farm out a monster set that I wanted, and hopefully, I'm hoping that artifacts are similar, right? To where like, oh, I got to run the new expansion to get this. Like, not only will I get the Primal Fury Heartrune, but I'll have an opportunity to get this artifact that does a certain thing, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think it was going to be like that, or no?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know.
Well, good answer, man. You're really on a roll here. I don't know. I don't care.
No, I mean I care. I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, new Heartrune. Primal Fury, dude. It basically makes you into a werewolf.
Yeah, have you seen it?
Well, yeah,
I guess you have seen it.
Yeah, I did. I didn't. I would have liked to see like it transform your physical. Like it does make you bigger, right? And then you swipe at people, but you're still a human being. You're like a I don't know. No, this is gonna fall on deaf ears, but it's like Attack on Titan. Anyways, you don't watch anime. I know that. Just Primal Fury. What do you think about the new Heartrune gem?
It's cool. I liked it. Whenever I seen the animation, I thought it was cool. You know, we don't know how strong it is or anything right now. We don't know really what effects it has. All we see in that video is the dude changing into like a werewolf type of attack and starting to swing his arms around, which is cool. It looks fun to use. I thought it was neat. Yeah, I mean it's different. And it fits the theme of the expansion. So that was cool. Well, what's interesting? Is it going to get used? I don't know. But.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting to me is this is the first like roaming Heartrune gem. Right? Most of them are like one-off cast abilities, unless I'm missing one. I guess like Stone Form is similar to this, where you pop it and it's active for a little bit. So unless am I forgetting a different one? Stone Form, and that's it, right? So
I think so. Yeah.
So Primal Fury is like that, where you pop it and then you get to go off and attack it. It lasts for a little bit. So it definitely like in a different vein as most of the Heartrune gems are. But yeah, we're getting a new Heartrune gem. It's interesting. That as these continue to pile up, how many different types of ones we do. But I really, Bordy, I can't say this enough. The introduction to artifacts combined with your weapon choices, the new gear system, to where there's no like pigeonholed perks like Ward, Bane, Resilience, and a bunch of new Heartrune or a bunch of like current Heartrune gems. Like, build diversity is going to be at an all-time high right now. I mean, obviously, we'll still land in some sort of meta for, like, competitive things in the game. But overall, I think there'll be a ton of new things to try.
Which I think is cool. That's what we want, man. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Build diversity is where you want it to be. You want to have fun,
that's where
creative
new world
builds. That's where games are fun, man. Like, whenever you're running the same build over and over and over and over because that's the only viable thing to really do, it's like, man, this gets old. So I'm here for it. I play games to have fun. I want to enjoy my time. I don't want to be forced to be a slave to the meta to be effective to do anything.
Yep.
I want to be able to have fun things to do and experiment with, and hopefully this provides a lot of that.
Yeah, I think so. I really do. Again, I understand the frustration of some people with the reselling, like the whole cost of the expansion, et cetera, et cetera. I already said this off or like in a different stream, I guess, not on the podcast, but it would be nice to see that bundle cost be a little bit lower than literally just buying New World and the expansion.
I said that today too. Very weird.
Like, what? That's not a bundle. That's literally just buying the two things.
Yeah, I thought that was odd too.
And like there was a lot of speculation out there about console, and we haven't seen anything about that yet. So that it just makes me think like maybe there's more. Maybe we're missing something. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
Nope. In one of those interviews too, they said that console is not on the radar. However, a console release for New World doesn't seem to be on deck, at least for the time being. I thought that was weird because I really thought console was going to be released, especially with their partnership now with this whatever the company is called. I always forget the name of the company they're partnered with.
They specialize in porting, right?
Huh?
They specialize in porting. Games.
They do. They do. Virtuoso or something like that. They do. And I thought for sure, I really thought for sure console port was happening. Maybe they're trying to do it. Maybe they ran into some problems.
Yeah.
Maybe they couldn't get it done for whatever reason for this expansion. But then I read that article and I was like, dang, bro, that's not, I guess it's not happening. It's not on the horizon. We're not doing it. So no console, which I thought could be really big for the game. But unfortunately, it's not happening.
Yeah, nope. At least not now, it seems like. So maybe, I don't know, maybe like all that was tied together and, you know, they had to separate it, so they went ahead and announced the expansion. And that's where we're at. So we'll see. We will see, man. Final thoughts. You got anything more to say to sum this up? You know, we've talked a lot today about New World and everything coming to the expansion.
Yeah. I mean, just, you know, we hadn't been here in a while, but there just hasn't been a lot to create an episode on. We get asked all the time if we're going to create another episode, and there just hasn't been a whole lot to create on, you know, until recently. So here we are. We're back on track. I think there will be a lot to talk about over the coming weeks, which will be fun to get into. But I guess the last question I have is the question we started with that we kind of put off till the end is, do you think this is enough for an expansion? Everything they've done, do you think this is expansion worthy content? And do you think, here's the $1 million question, do you think this will push New World up in an upward trajectory for once? Because in its life cycle, it hits these spikes and then goes right back down. The level of player retainage for New World is not good. It's probably it's really poor. So do you think, number one, this is good enough for an expansion? Number two, do you think this expansion will retain players?
Okay, so I should have at least a couple $1 million right now, if that's the $1 million question, because I feel like you ask us every podcast that we have new content.
because it's the question. But
so
now
I want my money, dog.
Relevant question.
Also, yeah. So okay, here's the thing: if you were to remove Brimstone Sands from the history of New World, I would say, yeah, this is expansion level amounts of content. And it's kind of, you know what I mean? That's what I was saying earlier. Is like they kind of kicked them, like they kind of did this to themselves in a way. Because, like, now, like, looking at Brimstone Sands, like, I think this is really close to the amount of stuff we got with Brimstone Sands, which was a free update. And that's why I think people are frustrated. Do I have problems paying for $30 for this sort of stuff? No. I probably would have paid for Brimstone Sands. You know what I mean? Or I would have, obviously, back in the day. So, expansion level, I think for most MMOs, probably. You know what I mean? Mount, new weapon, et cetera, et cetera. I think the questions come in is like the game was $40 base, and then the expansion's $30, but clearly the content is nowhere near like 3/4 of the amount of stuff we got at launch. So it becomes challenging as far as money goes. I'm not really a money person. I just pay for things and don't question it. Like, I'm gonna buy this. You know, I'm not gonna pretend like I don't buy like $150 packages for video games sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I don't care. I just like video games, and I believe, like, I usually harness the $1 per hour fee, right? If I watch a video on Netflix or something, and I paid $4 to get it, and it lasted for 2 hours, and the video was good, I'm not going to complain about buying it. Just like in video games, if I pay $30 for this expansion and I play 30 hours, which I will, I'm not going to be mad. Like, I'm not going to go make a Reddit post or start a X feed or whatever the fudge they're called now. Like, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to buy it. I'm going to play it. And I'm not going to complain about it because I'm a grown man. I'm 37 years old. I don't have time for that nonsense.
Bro. Jeez,
until we make a podcast, and then I'll probably complain a little bit. But at least now, like, I'm going to buy it. It'd be stupid to pretend that I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
do I think this will bring people back? Yes, initially. Do I think it's enough to keep them? It's all dependent upon the factors of artifact, like how effective are artifacts, the gear changes, and to me, like the fun of collecting and building out your character in different ways. That's where New World to me separates itself from the combat in New World and the systems where you can equip any weapon or any piece of armor on your one character separates itself from a lot of different MMOs. And if they can do that well, which hopefully Artifacts helps them do that well, and they can continue to expand upon these systems, then yes, I do. But I don't think that this expansion will literally resurrect the game. I think this is a great step in the right direction. But I don't like. I think it'll spike and then go back down again. But hopefully that once it goes back down, this will give it the fuel it needs to perpetually grow past season 3 and beyond. That makes sense? Did I hedge too much for that answer?
No.
Okay.
I think it's a good answer. Because I have similar feelings, but my feelings about why it wouldn't be successful are a little bit different. I too think that $30 is fair. I don't have a problem with the price point. I think they're delivering enough content for a $30 expansion. I mean, even though we're only getting a zone reworked, it is a completely different zone. But the underlying mechanics are great. I think a lot of things they're doing is really good. I can understand the frustration of the whole removing the mutations and putting them behind a paywall, but I understand the mentality there of why they're doing it. $30 for me is not a problem. I think it's fine. The amount of content I think is decent. And the thing that like I think they're still trying to do with this is still get the core game under control. And I think that they're going to do a good job at that and I think that people will come back, and I think people are way more likely to stay in the game now than before.
Yeah.
And I think that this could be an upward trajectory for the game, only if, bro, the game doesn't release as a buggy mess. If this expansion releases as a buggy mess and you're crashing whenever you jump on your mount, or your mount doesn't work right, or you get on your mount and you're running around, or you're hanging off the side of it,
or you're running on your mount.
You can't, or you're running on your mount, or you can't summon it for some reason, or like gear is not dropping correctly, or there's dupes, or all the things we've dealt with in New World from the beginning of the game. I really do feel like if they release a buggy mess, I think people will quit, and this will be their final straw for the game, because I think all the systems they're fixing are really good. I think everything they're doing is putting the game in a position to succeed long term at this point, and I think the next expansion could be one that gives us a ton of content to be great. But bro, if they release, like shutting down the trading post, like people are saying in chat, if that happens, I think people will leave and they won't look back. I really do, because you can only give a game so many opportunities of that type of quality content released, and this is paid. This is their first paid expansion. People are going to be paying money for this. If you pay $30, if somebody comes and pays $30 for this, and the quality of the game is absolute trash, they're going to leave and never come back. I hope to goodness, bro, that they get that stuff worked out somehow, some way, and they don't introduce a buggy mess. I was very excited for season 2 until I got into season 2 and realized the amount of sheer issues that season 2 had, and it made me want to bounce. Listen, bro, why are you putting Goofy over my face? What are you doing,
it's just that I'll do it again meme.
Bro,
it's like the bugs and like the duping. It's like, yeah, I mean, like I think most people, it's crazy, man. It really is like nuts to me, like what we've kind of stumbled upon in gaming. As this, like, because Wayfinder, obviously we cover Wayfinder too. It just launched, and like the servers were like, and still are having like a lot of problem where the game's barely playable. It really killed the hype on the launch of the expansion, and I think that is usually what like it's all about time for most people in our age group, right? Like the money situation, not such a big deal anymore. I think most people that enjoy these sort of games, it's a time thing. And is it worth my time? And like when people log into New World and it's like, well, everything's being duped. I can't do the things I want. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's bugs. There's like, you know what I mean? Like it is like a time thing at that point. Like this is not worth my time. I'm going to go back and play the game I know is refined and works well and honors my, my time investment in the game. And yeah, New World has struggled with that a lot in its history. I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's where I think that they'll struggle if they don't hit that mark with performance and with like things working correctly. I think that could be detrimental to the game, unfortunately. So hopefully, let's hope, man, that they have got things under control for the expansion. Maybe that's what they've been working on behind the scenes for so long, and maybe they'll release it without a hitch and everything will be good.
Yeah,
it's fine to have some problems because you're gonna have some, but I think the overwhelming, just like overwhelming amount of bugs sometimes they introduce into the game with new updates is just, it's almost unbearable at times. And so man, if they do that with the expansion, I think they're in trouble. But if they can release it smooth, I think this expansion
the problem is they're charging money for the bugs at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it should be a bad look, obviously.
I mean, they've literally addressed pretty much all of my concerns of the game, except for wars and territory control, which hopefully they'll address later. But everything else that has been a problem, I think they're addressing most of everything with this expansion.
Yeah, no, they're literally other than invasions and wars. Those are the two things that I feel like they really like. Where is the like rework? You know what I mean? Like those are the two things that are a little concerning to me that they didn't address. Those are the like two big in-game systems that they haven't touched really. But other than that, yeah, everything I think looks great on paper. I just think we'll see how it plays out. Like you said, any concern about like a short PTR stint?
Yeah, a little bit. That's what I mean with this whole situation. It's like, I don't know if they say they have internal testers testing this stuff, but it just doesn't seem that way on the outside looking in. Or if they do, like, who are these people? And, you know, I don't understand. But yeah, that is a concern. I think a lot of people have the concern the PTR like ruins content for other players. I think if the PTR is utilized correctly, it is an open PTR. Maybe they could have like a closed PTR for the specific purpose of testing. I don't know, but without content creators being able to create all the content and ruin it for people to give some surprise, something like that might be good.
Maybe
but
they're
in
already
terms
doing
of like
that. We're just not aware of it, right?
Yeah, and I think they must be, or they say they are. But I think one of the things, like the PTR, it should be used to detect those bugs, and that short PTR is going to give them less time to detect things for their biggest release ever, and that is where I do get a little bit concerned in that regard for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think so. Maybe like the only other thing is like they've done a lot of like quality testing in the background. That's always a possibility. So I don't want to write that off. But you know, as far as like PTRs go, historically, there's a lot of bugs that make it through. So hopefully there's other quality testing going on, which I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, that about does it. I'm excited about the expansion. It is a lot of information to take in, but I look forward to seeing it. It should be great, man. It'll be great to hop back into New World, and play some and enjoy some new content. So I'm excited for the opportunity for sure, and can't wait to get back into a tournament and swing a flail around.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, Bordy. Well, that's the end of the podcast. Well, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet?
StudioLoot.com is the best place to find me. Just come over there. We're writing a lot of articles over there for other games at the moment too. We're covering Wayfinder pretty heavily, which is awesome. It's been a lot of fun to play that game, and of course we'll be covering New World over there a whole lot as well. So just that is the place, StudioLoot.com, man. And then from there you can kind of find the other content, the YouTube, the Twitch, all those things.
Yes, sir. Taken's doing magic. You know, as usual, he was like an hour late to the podcast that he owns a third of. So welcome in, Taken. Hope you enjoyed the end statements. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Go to StudioLoot.com. We got tons of New World content over there. Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate it, or watching it if you're on BDLG's YouTube channel. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you in a tournament, I guess, soon. I mean, we got a month to prepare for this, so we'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll post episodes regularly now that there's more stuff to talk about. Okay? Sound good? All right, Bordy. Have a great day. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in another episode of New World to Go.